Something's brewing in Los Angeles right now, and I'm not talking about the usual Hollywood drama. The Lakers' war room has been buzzing with activity, and the conversations happening behind closed doors might just change the trajectory of our entire season. Welcome to Lakers News Fan Report, your go-to destination for all the breaking news, insider information, and deep analysis on our beloved purple and gold. This is where you'll get the freshest updates, the most detailed breakdowns, and everything you need to know about the Lakers before anyone else tells you. And trust me, what I'm about to share with you today is something every single Lakers fan needs to hear. Let me set the stage for you. We're sitting here on January 21st, and the trade deadline is circled in red on every NBA front office calendar across the league. February 5th, that's the date. That's when the window closes. And right now, with exactly 2 weeks left on the clock, Rob Pelinka and our management team are working overtime. They're making calls, they're evaluating options. They're weighing every possible scenario that could take this Lakers team from being a competitive squad to becoming a legitimate championship contender. And let me tell you, the Lakers aren't just window shopping. We're actively hunting. Now, before I dive into the specific name that's generating serious momentum, I want you to understand the context of where we are as a franchise right now. This isn't just about making a move for the sake of making a move. This is about strategic positioning. This is about recognizing that we have a unique window with LeBron James still performing at an elite level, with Anthony Davis playing some of the best basketball of his career, and with Austin Reeves emerging as a legitimate third star. We've built something special here, but there's still a missing piece. There's still that one element that could push us over the edge. The names that have been floating around Lakers Nation for weeks now aren't exactly secrets. Herb Jones from the New Orleans Pelicans has been mentioned repeatedly. And look, I get it. Jones is exactly the type of defensive-minded wing that could transform our perimeter defense. He's the kind of player who can lock down the opposing team's best scorer while also contributing on the offensive end. That's valuable. That's the kind of two-way impact that championship teams need. But here's the thing about Jones, there's serious competition for his services, and the Pelicans know exactly what they have. They're not going to just give him away. Then there's Trey Murphy III, another Pelican who's caught the Lakers' attention. Murphy represents that modern NBA prototype, the 3-and-D wing who can space the floor and defend multiple positions. In today's NBA, those guys are gold. They're the connective tissue that makes elite teams function at the highest level. But Murphy also comes with a hefty price tag, and the question becomes whether the Lakers are willing to part with the assets that New Orleans would demand. And this is where the conversation gets really interesting, because sometimes the best opportunities aren't the obvious ones. The Lakers have a history with the Brooklyn Nets that goes deeper than most people realize. These two organizations have done business before, and there's an established relationship that makes communication easier, makes negotiations smoother. Remember the Dorian Finney-Smith trade? That wasn't just a random transaction. That was two teams who understand how to work together, two front offices that can have honest conversations about value and fit. And right now, those conversations are happening again. Multiple sources are indicating that Los Angeles and Brooklyn have been in dialogue, and the names being discussed are intriguing to say the least. Nick Claxton is one of those names, and let me break down why Claxton makes so much sense for what the Lakers need. We've struggled at times with rim protection. We've had moments where opposing teams have attacked the paint with impunity. Davis is phenomenal, but even he can't be everywhere at once. Claxton gives us another layer of interior defense, another presence who can alter shots and protect the basket. But he's not just a defensive specialist. The man is currently averaging a career-best 12.8 points per game. He's pulling down 7.8 rebounds, dishing out 4.1 assists, and blocking 1.4 shots per contest. And he's doing all of this while shooting nearly 59% from the field. Those are elite efficiency numbers. That's the kind of production that complements what we already have. But here's where this story takes an unexpected turn. While Claxton would be an excellent addition, there's another Brooklyn player who's generating even more serious interest from the Lakers. There's another name that could potentially be even more impactful for what we're trying to accomplish this season. And that name is one that might surprise you initially, but when you dive into the numbers, when you analyze the fit, when you consider the timing of everything, it starts to make perfect sense. Michael Porter Jr. Yes, you heard that correctly. MPJ, the 6'10" sharpshooter who spent his first 5 seasons in Denver winning a championship with the Nuggets, is now on the Lakers' radar in a very real way. And before you start questioning the logic, before you wonder why the Lakers would pursue someone who doesn't immediately address our defensive concerns, let me walk you through exactly why this could be a brilliant move. Porter's journey to this moment is fascinating. Last summer, the Nuggets made a bold decision. They packaged him along with a 2032 first-round pick and sent him to Brooklyn in exchange for Cam Johnson. At the time, people had mixed reactions. Some thought Denver was selling low on Porter, others believed they were making a smart move to add more defensive versatility with Johnson. But here's what nobody predicted: Porter would absolutely explode in Brooklyn. We're talking about a complete transformation, a player who's finally unlocking his full potential. The numbers don't lie. Michael Porter Jr. is currently averaging 25.7 points per game. Read that again, 25.7. That's not just good, that's elite scoring production. That's all-star level offensive output. His previous career high was 19 points per game during his second season with the Nuggets. He's jumped more than 6 points per game in scoring average, and he's doing it efficiently. This isn't empty calorie scoring. This is a player who's figured something out, a player who's found his rhythm, a player who's playing the best basketball of his life at 27 years old. Now I know what some of you are thinking. We already have scorers. We have LeBron who can still get buckets at will. We have AD dominating in the paint. We have Austin Reeves who's shown he can create his own shot and facilitate for others. Why do we need another offensive weapon when our biggest need is perimeter defense? And that's a fair question, a legitimate concern that deserves a thoughtful answer. Here's the reality of championship basketball in 2026. You can never have too much firepower. You can never have too many guys who can go get a bucket when the game is on the line. Think about the truly dominant teams in NBA history. They all had multiple scoring threats, multiple players who could take over a game offensively. The Warriors dynasty, they had Curry, Thompson, and Durant. The Heatles, Wade, LeBron, and Bosh. The Lakers championship teams. Shaq and Kobe, or Magic and Kareem. You need multiple weapons to win at the highest level. But beyond just the scoring punch that Porter brings, think about the spacing implications. MPJ is a legitimate three-point threat. He's a guy who defenses have to account for at all times when he's on the floor. That gravity, that attention he commands, opens up so much for everyone else. Imagine LeBron operating in the pick and roll with Porter spotting up in the corner. The defense has to honor that shot, which means they can't send as much help to the paint. That means clearer driving lanes for LeBron and Reeves. That means more room for AD to operate in the post. The offensive synergy could be incredible. And here's something else to consider about Porter's situation in Brooklyn. Despite the fact that he's playing phenomenal basketball, the Nets seem willing to move him. Why would they trade a guy who's having a career year? Because Brooklyn is in asset accumulation mode. They're building for the future, and they recognize that Porter's value is at an all-time high. For the Nets, this is the perfect time to flip him and maximize their return. For the Lakers, this is the perfect time to strike and acquire a player who's playing at an all-star level. The relationship between the Lakers and Nets makes this deal even more feasible. These two teams have already established trust through previous transactions. They understand each other's needs, they can speak candidly about what's available and what's not. That existing rapport could be the difference between getting a deal done and watching an opportunity slip away. And in a league where timing is everything, where the trade deadline creates urgency that can force decisions, having that existing relationship is invaluable. Now, let's talk about fit from a basketball perspective. How would Porter integrate into our system? How would he mesh with our existing core? I've thought about this extensively, and the more I analyze it, the more excited I get. Porter is incredibly versatile positionally. He can play the 3 or the 4, which gives our coaching staff flexibility with lineups. He can play alongside LeBron in bigger lineups, or he can be that stretch 4 when we want to go smaller. That versatility is crucial in today's NBA, where you need to be able to adjust on the fly based on matchups. Offensively, Porter doesn't need the ball in his hands to be effective. He's proven he can thrive as an off-ball threat, spotting up for threes, cutting to the basket, crashing the offensive glass. That's perfect for playing alongside ball-dominant creators like LeBron and Reeves. There's no concern about usage rate conflicts or guys needing touches to stay engaged. Porter can get his points within the flow of the offense without requiring a bunch of isolation possessions or post-ups that slow down our attack. And while Porter isn't known as a lockdown defender, he's not a liability either. He's got good size at 6'10", he's athletic enough to stay with most wings, and he can be an effective team defender when he's locked in. Will he be guarding the opponent's best perimeter player every night? Probably not. But in a system where we have multiple guys who can take on tough defensive assignments, Porter doesn't have to be that shutdown defender. He just needs to be solid, needs to do his job within the scheme. Here's another angle that I think is being overlooked in all of this. The Lakers have been mentioned in connection with potentially pursuing Giannis Antetokounmpo this summer if he becomes available. That's the big fish, the superstar that could instantly make us title favorites for the next 5 years. But pursuing Giannis in the summer doesn't mean we should sit idle at the trade deadline. In fact, adding someone like Porter now could actually make us more attractive as a destination for a player like Giannis down the road. Stars want to play with other stars. They want to be part of something special. If we can add Porter and go on a deep playoff run, that strengthens our pitch for any potential free agents or trade targets in the summer. The question becomes, what would the Lakers have to give up to make this happen? And that's where things get complicated, where the chess match between Pelinka and his counterpart in Brooklyn really begins. The Nets aren't going to just give Porter away for nothing. They're going to want valuable pieces in return, whether that's young players, draft picks, or some combination of both. The Lakers will have to decide what they're willing to part with, what pieces are untouchable, and where the line is in terms of sacrificing future assets for present help. But here's my take on that dilemma. When you have LeBron James on your roster, when you have a championship window that's open right now, you can't afford to be timid. You can't afford to hoard assets for some hypothetical future when the opportunity to win is staring you in the face today. LeBron isn't getting any younger. This might be our last real chance to add another championship to his legacy with the Lakers. That urgency should drive every decision we make between now and February 5th. The trade deadline landscape is always fluid, always evolving. New information emerges daily, circumstances change, prices fluctuate based on how teams are performing and what other options are available. But right now, in this moment, Michael Porter Jr. represents a legitimate opportunity for the Lakers to significantly upgrade their roster. He represents a chance to add elite scoring, versatile positional flexibility, and championship experience to a team that's already built to compete at the highest level. I want to know what you think about this possibility. Does MPJ excite you as a potential Laker? Do you think he's worth whatever assets we'd have to give up? Or would you rather see us pursue Claxton for his defensive impact or hold firm for someone like Herb Jones? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I'm genuinely curious where Lakers Nation stands on this. This is a decision that will shape our season, potentially shape our franchise for years to come, and your perspective matters. Looking at this from a pure basketball standpoint, I'm getting excited about the possibilities. Porter gives us something we don't currently have, an elite-level scorer who can get buckets in a variety of ways without dominating the ball. He fits the timeline of competing now while still being young enough to be part of our long-term plans. And if Brooklyn is willing to make him available, if the price is reasonable, this is the type of move that could vault us into true championship contention. As a lifelong Lakers fan who's lived and died with every playoff run, every championship, every heartbreaking loss, I can feel something building here. I can sense that this front office understands the urgency, understands the opportunity we have with this roster. Adding Porter wouldn't just be about getting better on paper. It would be about making a statement that we're all in, that we believe in this team, that we're willing to do whatever it takes to bring Banner 18 to Crypto.com Arena. And honestly, that's exactly the mentality I want to see from our organization. The next 2 weeks are going to be crucial. Every day brings new developments, new possibilities, new challenges to navigate. But I'll be here every step of the way, breaking down every rumor, analyzing every angle, and keeping you updated on everything happening with our Lakers. If you want to stay on top of all the breaking news, all the insider information, all the detailed analysis, make sure you're subscribed to Lakers News Fan Report. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Like this video if you found it valuable, and share it with your fellow Lakers fans who need to know what's really going on behind the scenes. This is our time, Lakers Nation. This is our moment to make a move that could define our season. And Michael Porter Jr. might just be the piece that takes us from pretenders to contenders. I'll see you in the next one with more breaking news and analysis. Let's go Lakers!